guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be reacting to
the death of music genres.
I'm driving my 11-year-old Layla to school the other day, and she said, "Can we listen to Loive?" And if you don't know who that is, well, I'll just play you the song. The song's called From the Start.
Don't you notice how
we heard her?
Yeah, no, we know her, but he's a Lowe.
Yeah.
It's Lofe. Unless pronounced Lowe, I don't know.
I get quiet when
So this song was a huge hit last year. It's got over 500 million plays. This is really a bossa nova. She says, "What is that?" I said, "That's a style of music that was big in the 1960s. There was a huge hit called Girl from Ipanema that came out in 1964.
Yeah, that's a
It was written by Antonio
Yeah, some similar, a sample, I think, yeah.
Carlos Jobim, who happened to be my dad's favorite composer. So I thought to myself, what musical era are we even in here in almost 2025? What
The musical era of samples. Resampling everything.
I mean by that is, historically, each era had a defining sound or cultural movement, like swing in the 30s and 40s, rock and roll in the 50s and 60s, or even the MTV-driven pop music of the 80s, or one of my favorite eras, grunge or alternative rock of the 90s. This was because mass media, meaning radio, TV, MTV, print media, was all coordinated with major labels which controlled the distribution channels of the music to create dominant narratives so that you would have these ubiquitous artists and songs. If you think of someone like Sting, Every Breath You Take, that song was known by everyone, which made it easier to label the era by a few breakout genres or styles. If you take a style like grunge, what does grunge sound like? Grunge is heavy, low-tuned guitars, introspective, dark lyrics, really natural-sounding instruments, and great singers like Kurt Cobain from Nirvana.
Yeah, I was thinking of Nirvana as well when he was talking about it.
From Pearl Jam, Lane Staley from Alice in Chains, and Chris Cornell from Soundgarden. The grunge bands had...
But it's interesting, I feel like he's talking about American music, because to me, like in Europe, I would say 90s was a lot of dance music we see.
Yeah, I think, grunge is like, I feel like a sector. I don't feel like it encompassed the complete 90s.
Yeah, because to me, 90s, I would say, is like the beginning of hip-hop.
Yeah, like R&B.
R&B, hip-hop, that's where it's kind of like a lot, like Europe, there's a shitload of dance music we're seeing.
I don't think it was just like one genre.
Yeah, I don't know if you could accomplish like a decade just as a, like a
one genre.
Yeah, like a rock. If anything, I would think like a rock as we see in the UK, it was more like the 80s. There was all the UK rock bands. So I don't know if I agree with what he's saying.
Its own fashion aesthetic as well. Think of things from thrift stores, flannel shirts, band t-shirts, ripped jeans, sweaters like Kurt Cobain would wear, or combat boots. These were all things that were associated with the style of grunge. Okay, so when was the last definable era? To me, it would be the late 90s, early 2000s.
I think it's for him, like, because you're able to define an era regardless. It's just how involved are you into it to understand and pick on the nuances of that genre, of that decade. He lived those genres very immensely in it, so it's hard to take on a new genre, especially when you age, kind of like not age out, but like you kind of force yourself to be age out because you're not interested anymore.
Yeah, because to me, like in 2000s is very definable. There's a very specific 2000 sound. You do hear like that high school rock, that was a thing, and also big R&B and rap. And rap also does have a specific sound to that too, because rap, there's rap in the teens and in 2020s, but the rap is different. So, and I kind of feel like R&B died out. R&B stopped being a thing somewhere in the teens too. Not died out, but became way less popular than it used to in 2000s. That high school rock, the emo rock, if you want to call it too, also kind of, became like a afterthought nowadays. Now, how would you define the teens? I don't know. Teens is a little difficult. I feel like there's a lot of going on.
2010?
Yeah, 2010 to 2019.
I would say from that time, I say there was a lot of upbeat.
Definitely upbeat, I agree.
Technological, like they were experimenting like with different sounds.
It's a lot going on.
Also, they incorporated international music, like the Latin music, the Caribbean music into it. That's what I would say, because that's when you see like Drake picking up an accent. Popularity of Rihanna. We got a lot of like
I think I think you're on point with like with the internet access, and international music became more of a thing. Like the Despacitos became like giant hits. BTS songs, Blackpink songs, they became
Definitely.
hits. I think, yeah, if you want to say like it's internationalized
More
music,
international.
yeah, of the teens.
Pop acts like Backstreet Boys, NSYNC.
Now, if
Spears.
you ask me for the 20s, I think it's too early.
It's too early. No,
It's too early.
It's too early.
And honestly, something more have to develop to see a change. Because right now, it's like we're in like a blur until it happened, and then I can tell you.
I would say like 2024 specifically because we kind of in it. Like we react a lot of music literally.
So of that year,
This year I say very pop music, pop heavy pop, very poppy. Like you know,
how would you describe this pop?
like pop, like the straight up pop, like Sabrina Carpenter, Dua Lipa. You know,
I feel like we
Ariana
get a lot of runway, upbeat,
Okay.
but still a mix of international sound. Like everyone's trying to interpret their version of pop.
Afro Lavigne. That was a
Because
really
it's been a while
dominant
since we
music.
got like a funky pop, like with Rose and Bruno Mars, Apete. I thought that was an interesting take that we haven't seen in a long time.
Probably that's why it's doing so well because there isn't much of it nowadays. You know.
Biblical era. Here's an interesting fact. In 1999, record sales reached their peak when 600 million people spent an average of $64 on records, achieving $40 billion in sales of recorded music. That's insane. So what was the turning point that ended these dominant genres of music? To me, it was the internet and streaming. It was things like Napster, the iTunes Store, Spotify, YouTube. All of these things acted as a disruptor or disruptive force that changed the way that people discovered and consumed music. It relied on algorithmic playlists and global distribution, which gave equal footing to niche artists and micro genres. The result was that no single dominant or must-hear genre movement was able to flourish because listeners followed their personal taste curation rather than mass consensus.
Exactly.
That mass consensus was created by things like having a 3-month window in which the record is set up. All records were set up with this 3-month period. You'd release a single, you'd go to press 3 months ahead of time, you'd be in all these magazines, you'd have your video hit on MTV, everything would happen at once, and you would build that consensus, and everyone was hearing this record all at the same time. In today's musical landscape, there are countless subgenres that exist in parallel. Bedroom pop, lo-fi beats, hyper-pop, neo-soul revival, niche metal scenes like progressive metal, and each of them have their own dedicated fan bases. Because today, there's really no unifying broadcast platform like we had with radio and MTV that forced this collective experience for listeners.
I think he's kind of to piggyback what we said earlier. Like I said, 2000s was like R&B rap. I feel like 2000s. I feel that way of 2000s because I had the option, you know, internet. I went to download music I wanted to listen, so I didn't really listen to the radio. Maybe you know what he's referring to, like the radio. Maybe it was like more like pop, like the 2000s. So it's I don't because he's kind of referring to that radio push. That I think that's what he's talking about. Because to me, right, once I was able to download my own music, I didn't really listen to the radio. I would just listen to what I want to listen to.
But you know what everyone listens to?
What the radio push.
No, but outside of that nowadays, so that there's a collective experience. TikTok. Now, every artist is making music that will go viral on TikTok because they know that if it's consumed and accepted on TikTok, there's going to be everyone doing a little video pushing that song further and further and further along. To the point where the artists are complaining, like, wait, the label's telling me I got to make TikTok music. Every label, like, make TikTok music.
Okay, but you cannot put TikTok into like one genre. There's random genres that go off of TikTok. We see Pink Skies goes off of TikTok the same way Apate goes off of TikTok.
The consensus is that you make a song that follows a formula in which people are able to pick up a part, a section that is catchy, and then they want to do a video with it. So they're promoting the sound. Next, you want to have a cool dance that goes with it, so people, every time they associate the dance move, they're thinking of your song. Because you could do the dance move and you think of the song that is associated to the dance move. And then you associate also to the person. So it's like having people promote the artist without the artist having to do so. Just make the song appealing for TikTok.
Right, I get that, but how do you know what song is appealing for TikTok? It's not like the songs are so random and so different from one another that you cannot just say, let me
by observation what has worked, what has gone viral for TikTok, then you try to replicate that kind of formula. The formula is make sure it's catchy enough that it has a good line,
catchy, I agree.
that you could do a visual for it, has good sounds, and also a good dance move. Like even the artists are starting to come up with the dance moves themselves to try to have people find it catchy.
I guess maybe you could say that repetitiveness of the whole fucking chorus is apete.
You have Nicki Minaj, high heels on my titties. Don't check about it, that's on my titties. And then also anything that can be related to a person in their day-to-day life. Like like Let Her Cook. Like Glorilla, Let Her Cook. That song went viral on TikTok. When I put that sound on my video, the numbers.
How is that related to Let Her Cook?
Because everyone could be at home cooking, and you do a visual with the sound. Let her cook like that, you know.
That's not how I take the cook part.
Oh, that's how I took it.
No,
how you took it?
Let her cook, like you know how you cook in the lab, like you making a good hit.
You could do that too. You could do a video like that too. But that's a collective experience. Everyone wants to be on TikTok, do TikTok music.
But you're right about that, though. TikTok nowadays is collective experience. I agree with that. Like, my question is just like how you know the song is going to go off on TikTok. It's kind of like you don't know.
There's a risk, but there's a formula.
Really now, we're in what I would call a post-genre world, where artists openly blend styles like rap and country, or jazz chords and R&B, or electronic music and rock, blurring the boundaries of these specific genres.
Is true.
And genre labels feel increasingly outdated, replaced really by mood-based or influencer, I hate that word, influencer-driven curation. The industry success metrics now reflect broad, varied tastes, where you can have massive global hits that people don't know. When I did my video on Blinding Lights, it's the most streamed song on Spotify. There's so many people saying, I've never even heard that.
I don't think this is a bad thing. Because I think back then, the top 12 songs sound the same.
I also agree. I feel like it's a great thing, but what I'm getting from his video, he's kind of implying it's a bad thing, though. He's not saying it's a bad. I just feel like it just gives me a vibe that he's not too happy about the change.
Use the word death.
Right, exactly.
Instead of transformation.
Yeah, right. Maybe that's what it is, the death of music. So to me, it sounds like negative.
Yeah, and also for a click too, because this is simply like the transformation of music genres.
Yeah, because I also think this is a great thing. I don't know. There's nothing wrong with that to me. Like if you want like that, if you don't like the mixed hip hop and pop or hip hop and country, plenty of artists do straight up country or straight up hip hop. Like they still do that, so you can go pick. There's nothing wrong with that.
And also, if you look at it, like you could look at a rock and see the samples they have. It could be from something that's country. They just use the elements to kind of transform it a bit, and it still can be a hit.
Yeah.
So that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, as we've seen like in Eminem samples video, he samples a shitload of rock.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that song. I know so many people that have never heard a Taylor Swift song. They know who she is. They don't know any of her music. I just did this video where I mentioned Mr. Beast, the biggest person on this platform. Half the comments are like, I don't know who that is. So are we between eras, or is this the new normal? It's possible that we're in a transitional phase, the algorithmic age, where discovery is personalized rather than collective. But for now, we're living through a moment where each listener can curate their own mini era.
Like, I think what happened was he went into one echo chamber and said something to another echo chamber and realized they're different. And in the internet, it's easy to have different pockets.
Where there's no particular dominant sound, just a galaxy of possibilities. Love to know your thoughts. Hit the subscribe button.
I think he's like neutral about it.
I think you're right. It's just in the title, I guess, with the death of music. It kind of sounds like it's negative, but I don't think it's. I think it's a good thing. I don't think it's a bad thing, but yeah, comments.
But the thing is, I can see his standpoint as a person. If you have studied music, that you're kind of particular in putting things where they belong. Now, when people reinvent definitions, that's a problem because that person is a specialist in that area, and now you're changing the game essentially.
I like that the media and record labels don't get to decide what we should be listening to, but I do miss the shared experience we used to have.
We do have them. I think people forget about that.
Yeah. I think the media and record labels don't get to decide, but they do influence a lot, though, because we do have what you call industry plans, right? So that's kind of what the label.
I never really understood the industry plan.
I don't know either, but what they say,
like, where did they get this person from?
Like they just pick a random, not like a random, but the person they feel like they can fit what's being trendy now. So they just pick and mold that person into that trendy sound. So they kind of do decide a little bit, but I do miss the shared experience. As you said, TikTok is the shared experience.
It's just a different kind of shared
experience.
experience.
Yeah, but it is a shared experience. Like, I mean, maybe, this someone older making that comment who don't use TikTok, so they don't get the shared experience, but the young people do get shared experience.
Because back in the day, what we used to do is when the Super Bowl goes on, at the night, you're watching all the commercials, so that the next day when you go to school, you're able to go line for line what happened in each commercial, and that's something different. Every Friday, there used to be a drop from MTV of the new song that's being dropped that night. We still have that, but it just looks different. Guys, of course, let us know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Join the Discord. And as always, share as much kindness as possible.